One of the biggest mistakes people can make is not getting photographs of the property damage. One of the problems is clients tell me that they didn't take photos because the insurance company took photos or the body shop took photos, and it turns out that's not true in many cases. So once the opportunity comes and goes to take a photo, the opportunity is lost. So a big mistake is not taking photos of the damage before the car is repaired or before the car is disposed of. I think by far and away the biggest mistake people make following an accident is giving recorded statements to the insurance companies. Insurance adjusters will call you shortly after a collision and ask to record your statement. And they'll say they just want to get from you your version of what happened. And that's not true. If they really wanted to know what happened, they could ask their own insured, or they could look at the police report. What the insurance people are doing when they're taking your recorded statement is hoping you will say or blurt out something that gets recorded and will later be used against you. Here's some examples of that. I've probably heard a 1,000 times the answer to this question. Did you see the other car before it hit you? No, it came out of nowhere. I've heard that 5,000 times, and obviously that statement is wrong. The car didn't come out of nowhere, it came from somewhere. And I think what clients really mean when they blurt that out is that things happen very quickly. And as they think about it, I'll ask them about a recorded statement and say, what do you mean you didn't see the other car? It came out of nowhere. And what they'll tell me is, well, what they really meant was they saw the other car, but things happened so quickly that they didn't have time to do anything to avoid the impact. And that's what they meant when they think about what they were asked, but that's not how they answer. They blurt out, no, it came out of nowhere. And once you blurt that out, it's on record, and it's very hard to then correct and say, well, what I really meant was I did see it, but there wasn't time to take any kind of evasive action. Elapsed time is also a question that's often asked in a recorded statement. For example, how long were you stopped before you were hit? And people out of the blue are very poor at estimating time. I can't tell you how many times I've asked a client, how long were you stopped? And they say 5 minutes. And I then say, well, let's try this experiment. I'm going to ask you, how long were you stopped? And we'll time this, and you close your eyes and tell me how long you were stopped. And we do that little experiment, and it turns out they're stopped for 5 or 10 seconds. And they are shocked when I say, well, you said 5 minutes. And they said, well, I know, I'm not very good at estimating elapsed time. Finally, people are also very poor at guessing or estimating speeds of vehicles. And that's a very common question that's asked. A client will be asked, how fast was the other car going when it hit you? And a client will blurt out 50 miles an hour. And when I ask clients about that, they say, well, I didn't really mean 50. I really meant it felt like 50, or the impact seemed like it was going really fast. But once they've got that recorded statement where they said the other car was going 50, the insurance company then turns that around and makes it seem like that client is exaggerating, just trying to make their case better than it really is. And then it's too late to try to explain that, well, it felt like 50. I'm not trying to embellish or exaggerate, because that's what the insurance companies will do, try to put you in that exaggeration light. Another mistake clients make is not getting medical care when they need it. Oftentimes clients will say, well, I hoped it would get better, and I let it go for weeks or months before I saw a doctor. That's a big mistake. Insurance companies love gaps in medical care, because then they argue if you weren't seeing a doctor, you weren't hurt, or if there's a gap from when a collision occurs until first medical care, they'll argue something else must have happened in the interim to exonerate their insured who actually caused the injury. And then finally, a mistake clients make is when they do get medical care is not billing health insurance. Sometimes healthcare providers want to delay recovery and say, well, we'll collect from the insurance company who's at fault, or we'll collect from your own automobile insurance company, and that is a mistake. The correct procedure is to first bill health insurance and let your health insurance company deal with medical bills so that they're promptly paid.